rock.
Next level. 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 Where we going? Next level. What we doing? Next level. Where we going? Next level. What we doing? Next level. Where we going? Next level. Where we going? Next level. Hey! Okay, so that's our chant. Let's go. Let's finish this.
That's good.
Freddie, what's her grade? What grade you giving, Freddie?
Emotional fluency is the ability to understand, express, and recognize emotions in an effective manner. Unfortunately, men are often overlooked when it comes to emotional fluency, never really learning the tools that they need to effectively navigate their feelings and experiences in a healthy and, let's say, empowered way. So often when they get to a point in life when they're on their emotional healing journey, they have a hard time expressing, understanding, or comprehending their pains or emotions. And that's difficult for them. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by NexLevel's own Wes. Actually, it's Joey Wes Patton. Wes is the president of TKO Family Writers and an up-and-coming artist in the music industry. And I am so excited to have him join us on this evening. How are you, Wes?
I'm great. I'm in the house.
You are in the
I got to put my
house.
leg up. Look,
Looking
look fancy.
good, looking good and fly.
Yeah.
And you know, how's your day been?
Good. It's my friend's birthday. Happy birthday, Lulu. I spent all morning chasing gifts.
Chasing gifts?
And working. So
okay.
Killing two birds with one stone.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Wes, for saying yes.
Yeah.
Saying yes and being willing to be the first male guest to sit here and join us on the show in a circle of nothing but women as we pry into your mind and your emotions and your journey. And, you know, I really am interested because when I approached you about this, when I had this idea for the Restored Man and starting to interview men on the show, you immediately said yes.
Yeah.
Why? You know, what got you to the point? What prompted your yes?
I always want to help the next person. I don't know if a man's going to watch this, but I know it's a bunch of people that are connected to men are going to watch it. So to help. And then there's always like YouTube and all the behind the after the fact watching that you could share with people, you know, so it always helps to get out there and for the most part, as long as you're not like really roasting yourself, like to share.
Have you always been a person who does that, being able to be open and say yes? Because we're gonna pry a little bit into you on tonight. So is that something that you've always been able to do?
It's weird. So it's something I've always been able to do in this environment because I'm used to talking in front of people, playing, rapping, all that kind of stuff. I'm used to being in front of people, sharing. Like I mentor kids at schools and stuff, so I'm used to talking.
Okay.
Privately, I'm quiet. I'm kind of chilled out. So like, I don't like openly share. But if you ask a question, I'll answer it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
okay.
It's a little
well, before we dive completely in, why don't you tell our audience just a little bit about you, about your background, some of the things that you're doing, and just your journey, just briefly, a little bit about your journey to get you here.
Okay, so born and raised in LA. I'm from LA. I've been in Dallas since 2007. So I think I'm from Dallas now. I think I finally, I've been in Dallas longer than I lived in California officially a couple years ago. So I think I'm a Texan now, somewhat. I play the bass guitar. I've been playing the bass guitar since 2013. I come from a family of musicians. My mom's a poet and a musician. My dad's a musician. He plays everything.
Really?
All my siblings sing and play multiple instruments. So I needed to play something.
Okay.
Because I was feeling left out.
Oh.
So I picked up the easy instrument, which was the bass. And so far, I've taken it farther than anybody, except for my dad, who also plays the bass.
Okay.
He's a little bit more, doing more shows and stuff than I am, but I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm the president of TKO Family Riders. It's a trail ride club on the trail ride scene, and it's also a nonprofit in Dallas. So there's two kind of aspects of it. I'm the president of both.
Okay.
And more so on the nonprofit side of things, we do like equine therapy, where if you're kind of depressed or down or whatever, we'll bring you out to our horses, let you brush on them, walk them around, ride them if you want. If you're capable of it, we can't have you falling off our horses and going to the hospital. But for the most part, that's what I do. And of course, I work with NexLevel.
And you work
at
with
NexLevel, for NexLevel, all that. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Well, that is cool. That is cool. You are really and truly an all-around guy, and you love color. And another thing that I know that you do, that I'm just gonna plug because I think it's so cool. You make tennis shoes, and you go around to schools and teaching children how to make shoes. Can you tell us just briefly a little bit about that?
So we grew up poor. Well, I wouldn't say poor, but we wasn't rich, and we was in the hood. So I don't know. But my grandma always taught us the value of like making something last. There's this place called the Little House we would go to like Tuesdays and Thursdays. We would walk with her to her church, and they had like a free thrift store where people would come and they'd give free stuff. So every once in a while, I'd sneak up on a pair of shoes that was like, I wanted them, but they were old. So I learned how to refurbish them. Then after that, I was like, I don't want to wear everybody's colors, so I want my own colors. So I learned how to, put fabrics and different stuff on it. Kind of a shout out to my grandma. Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think that learning that, and even the horses and all the different things that you have that you started doing, was that something that was always in you, something you've always wanted to do, or do you think that has had a big effect on teaching you how to express your emotions and things like that?
I'm a creator, so I love creating.
Okay.
I do shoes, I build a horse stall, whatever. I love creating music, all that. Trusting my voice was the biggest hurdle, because I've listened to you talk every week for the last few months, and I feel like when you're like a genius in a certain field or a certain aspect, like God's giving you the vision for something, if you pull it off, you kind of pull it off with a little extra power behind you.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm a genius sometimes. Like, yeah, I did that. You know
I
what I'm saying?
agree with you.
So there's also the other voice where it's like, yeah, let's not do that, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I do these shoes, if I walk to somebody, like if I go to a party or something, they're going to look at my shoes and not know I did them and say, oh, those are fake. Like little ego stuff where it like in the big picture that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I was always cool with creating. I wasn't always cool with hearing my voice, like trusting my voice.
That's very interesting that you say that. And because here, when I think about the journey of life and the process of discovery and self-discovery, it's really hard. Even I remember myself when I didn't know my voice, couldn't stand the sound of my voice. And you talk about your voice, and we have to do a lot of soul searching to really get to even the point where we can sit here today. You understand what I'm saying? So one of the questions that I want to ask you, what did you realize in your soul searching journey? What did you realize about yourself that you don't think you would have found if you had not started your journey?
Nobody's gonna do it for you. Whatever it is, nobody's gonna do it for you. Like, for me, I'm a dreamer and a creator. So it's easy to get caught up in the dream and then be creating the dream and let like life that matters get pushed to the side. And then it's also easier to overcompensate and then get to life that matters and forget the dream because you're working on life that matters. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the thing I had to learn was nobody's going to do it for me.
Is that how you discovered your voice?
Yeah. Because eventually, if you have something to say, you'll get tired of not saying it.
Nah.
It's like the Bible say fire in your bones and all that. It's
Yes.
like you just get, I got something to say. I'm
Yes.
tired of not saying it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, we'll say it. But for me, I say it through music. I'll play the bass. I'll write a rap song. I'll do some poetry, whatever. I'll do some shoes. Like you'll see a lot of my shoes have to do with like where I'm from, my side of town, little stuff like that. So it's like I got something to say. I want to say it. So either if you're gonna shut up, then like you really don't have nothing to say.
Well, what I do know is that we have one of your songs. I think it's called "Feeling Me."
Yeah.
That
Featuring who?
Featuring yours truly. Like you talking about, we made it. I made it, Mom. And so what we're going to do, if you don't mind, we're going to play a little clip for our audience. We're debuting this song.
Yeah.
Right now, and they'll be able to get it on our website and YouTube. But we're gonna play a small clip before we continue in our conversation.
I wish that I wasn't cold. I wish we weren't enemies. And if we ain't really ops, I wish we weren't frenemies. I thought about the end of me, pistol cocked, ended me. Looking up, talk to God, please, would you just intervene? And I know that he's hearing me, but I don't think he's feeling me, no,
That was one of those aha moments, because it was then that I realized the purpose that God had me going through what I was going through. It was
So the name of that song, we just played a clip of it. The name of the song is "Feeling Me." Tell me a little bit about how that song came about.
So the summer I got divorced, this is not a footnote, but it's kind of a footnote. I got like briefly, like didn't want to be here no more, sad, like suicidal sad. Once I come back to my senses, I had enough energy to write 10 songs that summer. So that was one of the songs. And it was just like a apology to my ex-wife. And an acknowledgement, but I think in our relationship, I'll be honest, I did more acknowledging and apologizing than changing. So it was like, I don't feel like you'll listen to this if I call you or whatever. So I write it down, and eventually God's gonna bring it by your eyes and your ears. And
So you said acknowledging. So tell me exactly what you mean.
so I come from a household with a strict dad, pretty laid back mom. But my dad would always say, you can say whatever you want as long as you're direct and respectful. That was his thing. So a lot of times, if you're a good enough talker, you know what I'm saying? Like you could get away with doing some bad stuff because, hey, this is just how I felt about the, you know. And I brought that into marriage. And that don't work. That don't work in any relationship. I'm learning that with my friends. Like even now, it's like, hey, I don't care why you did that. Like, I just don't want you to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things where it's like, I love you, I appreciate you, but stop explaining and telling me all that. I don't care. Just don't do it. You know, like, so I felt like I did a lot of that. I did too much.
Well, you know, Stephen Covey has this saying, and I don't know if you've ever heard of him, and he has this book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits that I've gotten to the point that I live by is seek first to understand. And I think that I personally believe that even acknowledging, and sometimes it's hard to break free and articulate the things that you are feeling. But I think that we as individuals, especially when we're in man-woman relationships, it's hard for us to stop, set ourselves to the side and seek to understand what the other person is saying or why they're acting the way that they're acting or thinking the way that they're thinking. Understand the behavior, understand the history behind the behavior, because it gives you a totally different perspective once you get an understanding.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I will say though, I have used that as a crutch. I have. There's been times where it's like little simple stuff where it should be a change of behavior. Like, so for example, when I was married, I was like an Uber driver.
Okay.
I made great money doing Uber, but I got my identity stolen like that year.
Okay.
So me and my wife had this like talk. Um, hey, when you're done with your day, just go to the ATM, get your money off the card. That way they can't steal it when it's time for rent. Because every time it was time for rent, they would just come grab.
Interesting.
So it was like, but after a couple months, it's like, okay, dude, it don't matter that your identity's stolen. You're not gonna do the little thing that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that will get old. So I can say for, now that I'm mature that, yeah, I did that a lot. But I do believe that you should understand first, because why are you in it? Like, I can't spend the rest of my life with somebody I don't understand.
You know, I want to ask you why. I mean, why wouldn't you even do the little thing?
I don't know.
Is it
Like,
is it because she said it?
it wasn't even that. It was just like, I don't know. I don't know. It was like, when I think about it, it's like that's so stupid. Like, why you didn't just? I mean, I live next to like 3-4 gas stations. Like, why didn't you just? You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't like.
Did you stop? Did you ever stop in your journey of healing and learning to express yourself? Did you ever stop to process and say, "Why was I acting like that?" What and do the work to dig, like this is something that happened in my life, or this is the way that I was raised, and so I exhibited that behavior. I brought that type of behavior into my marriage, and so now I'm understanding. I can see and I can understand why I was the way that I was and doing the things that I was doing.
Most definitely. Now, the little stopping at the gas station to get the cash off, I have no idea why that was. I was just lazy. That's what that was, laziness. That's what I'll chalk that up. If you don't know what it is, it's probably laziness till you find out. Then you can change it.
That's probably true.
So, but like other behaviors, just the whole 6.5 years being together, yeah, all the time going through it. One, because I write like music. You've heard the song. Everybody hasn't heard it, but you've heard the song.
And I want to talk
Still
a little
Sunny.
bit about the song.
Like that's how I talk. So a lot of times, like people, family members, mom, friends, brother, they'll hear my music and be like, I didn't know you was going through that and felt like that. And it's like, I haven't learned how to talk outside of a pen yet. You know what I'm saying? About that kind of stuff. But because I do that, I've got notebooks of
all your emotions.
Thoughts and emotions and all that. And sometimes I go back and be like, yeah, I was tripping. And sometimes I go back and be like, oh, wow, that means something now different because I'm older. You know, with time, you learn stuff. So it's like, yeah, definitely.
Well, you say something in the song when I first heard it. Actually, there's a few things that you say that I want to talk about. Just kind of pick your brain just a little bit. But in the song, you say, you know God is listening, but you don't think he is feeling you. What exactly did that mean, and why did you feel that way?
I think a lot of times God's like a pushover Santa Claus type dude in everybody's head. Like, a genie kind of, you know what I'm saying? And like, if he doesn't come through, then he don't exist. I felt like I had made my bed up with enough bad habits and, didn't listen to enough mentors. And by the end of my marriage, I wasn't like even reading the Bible every day no more. I was just like, whatever happens, happens.
And you, and hold on, let me ask you this. You and your wife actually met at church, am I correct?
Yeah. Her parents were my mentors I come from a gangbanging background. When I went to jail, got out of jail, and came to Dallas full time, the church I was at, her parents were my first mentors.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Wes, that's an aspect that you ain't even know. We need to dive a little bit into. We're gonna pick all your brain out.
I'm here. That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Yes,
so do you think, looking back now, that some of your refusal or your decision to not listen, not separate yourself from reading the Bible or listening to your mentors or even affect your marriage had to do with maybe her family had too much influence in it, or do you think that had anything to do with it?
I think me not listening was me being competitive in a bad way.
Competitive with who?
So with everybody. Like if you tell me I can't do something
Mm.
and I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. I was the kid that touched the oven and got whoopings, and touched the oven and got whoopings. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
Lord.
until I'm tired of touching the oven, I'm gonna touch it. That's not a
Mm.
good. I'm not like that anymore. But then, yeah, until I'm tired of touching the oven, I'm gonna touch it. Like okay, it's my burn. Like what you know what I'm saying? So when people
Okay.
used to tell me stuff, it'll be like just little game. Like hey, bro, you know if y'all are having this issue now, when you get married, it's going to be magnified.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little problems you're having now, those don't go away just because y'all don't live together now. When
Mm-hmm.
y'all start living together, you're gonna be tired of each other. You're gonna roll over. Oh, you still here? Like there's days.
Because that's what marriage is.
So for me, it was like, nah, I'm good. I'm whatever. Her dad wasn't the richest guy.
Mm-hmm.
He help make ends meet, but he wasn't the richest. So in her mind, she saw that. She didn't want to marry that. Well,
Oh,
I spent
okay.
our whole dating relationship talking, oh, nah, baby, we good. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't like this. I ain't like that. I get money and all. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. We good. We get married. That's not the case. I'm not listening. I'm doing what I want. You know what I'm saying? I'm not single, but it's my stuff, your stuff. Like, little stuff like that where it's like, it fractures a relationship. When enough pressure happens, that's gonna explode. And I think we ran into enough pressure. Um, yeah, on both our parts, but mainly because of mine. I think as a husband, you take the responsibility. I had a mentor tell me that. Like he was like, outside of like maybe cheating, everything that goes wrong is your fault.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't get it at first. Then he came back a couple days later, and he was like, "You the man. You like the leader. Like you supposed to be talking to God
Mm-hmm.
and
About.
seeing ahead what's coming. Like even if you can't see it, God's gonna tell you, and you just have to trust Him. But if you're not doing that, everything that happens is your fault."
So why do you think you stopped even talking to God?
I was frustrated. I was mad at him. I was mad at him.
As far as because of the marriage, or just life in general?
I think my God changed.
Hold on, I'm
she
sorry.
became my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
now that's interesting.
Yeah,
But you know what? That's so easy to do
Yeah.
in marriage.
But you know what's crazy? It's like I've said this out loud to my mom before because that's who I'll talk to if I'm gonna talk. And
Wow.
it's like, but if she was your God, why weren't you obedient? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, you can't have it both ways. So it's like there's a bit of laziness and immaturity in there. I think there were a few times. There were definitely a few times in our dating relationship where we broke up and should have stayed broke up. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Maybe we get married down the line. You don't know. I don't know. But there was times where it's like, yeah, this should be it.
But
and,
you wanted what you wanted.
Yeah, and no matter who told me I can't do it, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Now that you talk about where stuff like that comes from, I've just gotten over a little man complex. I was like 5'2" in 11th grade.
Really?
I'm 6'1" now. I didn't stop growing until I was 25. And by that time, I had to realize, hey, you're not this little dude no more, bro. Like, you can't walk around with the little dude chip on your shoulder.
Really?
But that was one of the things. It's like, I'm competitive because growing up, everybody, I got picked. That's how I ended up in the streets, getting picked on. It's like, all right.
And so, we're talking about emotional fluency and being able to express our emotions and learning the tools. So are you saying you didn't learn the tools growing up to express yourself and your emotions and process your experiences? Or do you think you just, because of all the other things experiences that life brought, you just chose to ignore them?
I think there's a little bit of both. My parents got divorced when I was real little, but they're like weird. They're like really cool, like almost bestie kind of cool, which is, it's weird because it's like y'all not together, but y'all like cool.
Because some people just aren't meant to be married.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So there was always, now you got to think about my outlook on marriage.
Okay.
Because that's what I see. I got two parents. They not married, but they just cool, and it's kind of, whatever, casual. So it's like, okay, that's how my commitment is. It's like whatever,
Mm.
casual, whatever. So moving to Texas, wow. So I accidentally, this is gonna sound horrible.
It's okay. This is
I
a safe place.
accidentally burnt down my grandma's house in California. That's how I ended up in Texas. So what happened was I went to school one day. I got picked on. I got bullied in front of like all my friends. Nobody stood up for me. I went home. For the first time ever, I smoked weed, fell asleep. I put a candle lit on the dresser because I'm like 14, 15. I'm like, all right, my mama smelled the candle, not the weed. Yeah, whatever. I fall asleep. I wake up. My dresser's on fire. I get out just in time to get my family out. That's how we ended up in Texas.
Wow.
So there's a whole bunch of little like L's I took that were
Uh-huh.
completely my fault. Where it was like, dang, bro, like you kind of sweep that under the rug, keep going. I moved to Texas. My senior year, I break my knee. So there's no sports. So now it's like, dang, what do I do? All I got is the streets in my head. You know what I'm saying? But that's not all you have.
Mm-hmm.
But because there was all these significant, like major L's along the road, as a kid, not having both. My dad was the strict, my mom was the lenient.
Mm-hmm.
So I was either always with her or always with him. So it's like I'm either with Major Payne, you know what I'm saying, or I'm with, grandma's cookies over here. Like she's super sweet and he's just the opposite. He loves me, I know it, but it's like he thinks he has to do it the tough way. So it's like in processing that, how does that affect a woman
Mm-hmm.
that your whole life is supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
about? And then it's like, okay, well, maybe you should have like slowed your roll and thought about that. You know what I'm saying? Little stuff like that.
That's very interesting. Let me ask you, how did you get to a point where you realized, what did you do to get to a point where you realized those losses that you call them were actually not losses, but direction to get you to where you are today?
2010. That's when I got out of jail the last time and was like, I'm coming to Dallas. I'm finna go to church. I need to stay out of trouble. I called my pastor, my mom's pastor. I was like, yeah, bro, I'm out of jail. I'm finna come. I'm finna come to church and all that. He didn't believe me. So I became like one of the most like church members ever just because I was scared to get in trouble again.
Mm.
Um, and it was somewhere during between that time and like that was about a 10-year span between that and divorce. Yeah, 10 years. So somewhere in that decade, I realized like, bro, this is making you who you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
mentoring kids helped. I mentored a bunch of kids at Roosevelt High School through a mentor I had.
Okay.
Have he's moved out of state, but he's still a mentor. Um, and just being able to say some stuff like, "You did what to your grandma's house because of what?" Like, yeah, bro. Like my life is wild, bro. Like you good, you can make it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that,
Helped you to see that the things that you did and the steps that you took were not losses because you can
yeah,
turn them
I
all
wouldn't
around.
trade it. I tell everybody this. If I would have went where I was supposed to go playing football, I'd be broke. I'd be one of them broke athletes.
Because you wouldn't have, you never would have had any
No.
experiences in discipline. What has been, because I want to talk a little bit about your divorce if you
Hmm.
don't mind, and a little bit more about your marriage, but I'm so fascinated with your life. What do you think was one of your greatest cuts as a man? What's been one of your greatest, like, oh, I feel like I'm ripped completely open and I'm bleeding in front of the world?
My divorce. So we broke up ugly. It was ugly. It was like text messages and all kind of, excuse me, crazy stuff. Like it was bad. And I remember I'm confident. I'm quiet, but I'm confident. I'm
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me what to do, I can do it. If I know what to do, I can do it better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
You can
saying?
do it better.
Yeah, you
Okay.
know what I'm saying? So like I've never been not confident. Like towards the end of that, once I like kicked God out the room, it was like I became a completely different person. I was like anxious and like depressed and like
Really?
scary, like not scary, but like nervous. Like it was weird. So when we broke up officially, and I told you I was in that little weird semi-suicidal headspace.
And this was during COVID.
Yeah.
Because y'all broke up during COVID.
I remember sending a text message, like a group message, and including all my main friends, all her main friends and family. And I made up some like weird falling on the sword type message, and like it was my plan to like right over there by you work, the high five interchange. It was my plan to drive smooth off that thing, and that didn't happen. Ironically, because at the same time I was doing that, my sister called me and she was like, "God told me to pray that you don't drive off a bridge."
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
okay, cool. Well, then we won't do that. You know what I'm saying?
So was that a turning point for you?
So
or
it
do you
was
think
like
you still
that's when
stayed
at
in-
that moment I was embarrassed for like the message and stuff that I sent, because it was like, dang, I sent that thinking I wouldn't be here no more. So who cares what they think about the message? But
So
now
you
that I'm here,
you
like,
told a whole bunch of stuff about yourself?
yeah, all kind of crazy stuff. Like,
But do you think it freed you at
no,
all?
it didn't. It didn't. I would have rather, me personally, I don't think this is all the way emotionally healthy.
Okay.
But I would have rather like shouldered the blame, because she had been through enough. We're talking about been molested, never had her real father, never showed that he wanted her. Her stepdad wasn't all the way there, and then he passed like a year before we got married. So it was like a whole bunch of stuff that I felt almost like, hey, I would have rather shouldered that so you don't have to have that on top of what you already got. Because my stuff is really my fault. Like moving to Texas is my fault. You know what I'm saying? Breaking my knee, not my fault, but you know, I could have did something else. My fault. So it's like I wanted to shoulder that blame more. Not when I came back to myself. In that moment, it was like, forget the world. I'm gone.
Wow.
I'm gone. Yeah.
I know in your song you say something along the lines, and I may mess it up, but you say something along the lines of you should have been a king, but I think you say you were active.
I knew you were a queen. I wish I had been a king. That's pretty much almost what I just said. It's just like black people throw that term around loosely. What's up, king? What's up, queen? Like that's almost like what's up, love? Like you trying to flirt. You know what I'm saying? So it was like in my head. Now I'm a visual, photographic memory kind of person. In my head, everybody has this life. Everybody's life is like a kingdom. I'm the king of my life. So if my kingdom of TKO and 30 AD wants to function with your kingdom of next level, like king to queen, we gonna make it happen. And that means in my life, I have to run it like a king. I'm not out, drunk. I'm not out really drunk. I don't really drink like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm definitely not out drunk. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not just hanging out with anybody. You won't catch me. I love the hood. You won't catch me there any time of day. You know, little stuff like that where you move like a king. It was like, I wish I had moved that intentionally with your heart.
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah.
So how did you get to, what did you do? What are some of the steps that you took, especially as a man, to help you become aware and get to the, because you haven't always been at this point, to get to this point where you can stand in your truth, stand in your mistakes, and be able to sit here and acknowledge and talk about it? What did you do?
I hurt.
You hurt.
Yeah,
you felt the pain of
I hurt. Like the end of that thing felt like keeping a dead body alive. But in the midst of that, I could see towards the end that while it was like, hey, what are we doing? She was still kind of willing to let's figure it out. Because we actually, our breakup happened at the tail end of a money conversation where we were trying to figure some stuff out, and then like it just went off the walls, and that's our breakup. That's how it happened. I just think like I hurt. So once you hurt, this is where having good parents comes in. my parents always taught me, you could hurt, you could cry. There's nothing feminine about that. Like, you do what you got to do. Now there's a time and place for it. Like, you're not just gonna be no crybaby. But you can do what you got to do. And because they told me that, it was like, all right. So now that I've heard, what do I do? I gotta live. You know what I'm saying? And if I'ma live, we gonna live. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a creator. I can't just sit and not create.
Yeah.
So eventually, once it wasn't even the hurt that had to wear off, it was the embarrassment. Once the embarrassment wore off, it was like, okay, let's get to work. This is actually the first time I'm talking about it in a public place. But it's like, if it took 3 years for the embarrassment to wear off, then hey, that's why the yes was so quick. It's like, say, we can't be embarrassed forever. And if we are, we got to talk through it. Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, wow, you have left me really kind of speechless. Really kind of speechless. So, is it okay if we open up our audience to you and allow our audience to ask you some questions, dig just a little bit deeper?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
We after this message, we'll be right back so that you can ask Wes some questions. I created NexLevel to help women ready to cross that bridge, get a vision of themselves, and take action to be who they know they want to be. What we do is we equip women with the tools they need to navigate their journey. You'll hear from and engage with others that have successfully managed challenging situations. You will get help from people who are willing to help you turn your dream into reality. So you are never alone. Can you imagine getting support from women that you look up to? You can look back and realize that you went from a chaotic state of existing to a balanced life worth living. You are NexLevel. We are back with Wes, who has been joining us talking about emotional influence, emotional fluence. What we're going to be doing is we are going to, from time to time, we'll be having these type of conversations so that what I call the restored man, that's what I'm calling you guys, the restored man. What I want to do is be able to use these types of conversations to help women understand the thought processes and the emotional fluence of man as we proceed forward in our healing journey. And Wes has been so very open and very vulnerable, and I appreciate you for it.
Yes,
One of the things that we really try to create here at NexLevel is a safe place, a safe place where anybody can be open and you can be transparent. And I really thank you for opening yourself up and really allowing us a very intimate look into your mind, into your heart, into your music. At this time, I'm going to open it up to the audience. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Wes, any personal questions or about anything that he's talked about, maybe even any questions they may have about their own man, may need some some advice on. You can place your question in the chat, and we will answer it. This is the benefit of being part of our live Zoom audience. I know we have quite a few people watching on YouTube and Facebook and different things like that. So I am going to take the questions. Yes. So one of the questions that I did get is, what do you regret most?
Not setting each other free during those dating relationship breakups. Because I think that kind of stuff matters. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I've lived long enough. I can officially say I've lived long enough to know that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think something I learned after the fact is there's nothing wrong with dating. I think coming up in the church, and especially a small church, It's like if you get to dating around too much, you know what I'm saying, you kind of.
You know, I often felt for a very long time, because I agree with you. And me and my ex-husband, we broke up for a period of time before we got married, and there were all sorts of fights and different things, and I kept hearing, you know, in my spirit, don't do this, don't do this. But you know, growing up in the church and the teachings and stuff that you get, you like, okay, if,
Yeah.
often they tell you, you know, marry is better to marry than the
Than the
birds.
bird.
So so
Good
you
Lord.
so you make the
Yeah.
decision to get married to keep from living in sin. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that we enter into a lot of relationships that we otherwise would
Yeah.
just be passing, that I think God has as passing in our life.
I think a lot of times we hold on to them too, just because we're used to the message of suffering.
Ooh.
Suffering's supposed to pay off.
Yeah.
According to what we believe, our
Yeah.
suffering's supposed to pay off. So because we believe that about everything, sometimes we don't just let stuff go like it's going to come back around. And if it comes back around, then hey, if God told me you're supposed to be here, you're going to come back around. You know what I'm saying? If not, then whatever. Because what if I find out, not that she was, but what if I find out you weren't being obedient to God and I was trying to marry you? Then I don't find out till we married, which she found out about me because I was like, forget, you know what I'm saying? Forget God, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that kind of stuff matters because it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I wish I would have let her go. Not no disrespectful way.
No,
but like,
I really understand and feel you on
Yeah.
that. I really do. I understand and feel you on that. How do you feel your childhood experiences / parental relationships affected your relationships in adulthood, platonic and romantic?
So for platonic like friendship, I'm not romantically interested in you relationships. I think it was cool, because I've been through a lot. I won't say I've been rich, but like I've I've lived in Highland Park. You know what I'm saying? I've come from the hood in LA. I've lived in certain areas of Dallas. The area of North Dallas I live in now is okay. It's not super fancy, but it's nice. So I feel like I've lived a bunch of different lives. So like I grew up in LA. I had the house fire, the you know, getting picked on, bullied, all that. I moved directly to Tyler, Texas.
That's where I'm from.
Really?
I'm from Tyler.
I graduated from Chapel Hill.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
So I lived in Chapel Hill for a couple years, so I know what it's like to be country. You know what I'm saying? Like I've come to Dallas, so it's like I've lived a bunch of different lives.
that's interesting.
And because my parents were so well balanced as parents, they taught me how to emotionally navigate most of it. So as a friend, I can do that. I've got my mom's caring, I got my dad's don't play me. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool. Romantically, it's different because I think there's a lot more grace and a lot more understanding involved with someone that you're giving your heart to in that area. Because you're supposed to give your heart to your friends too. That's why they're your friends. That's why you turn into whoever you hang out with.
But it's different when
But
you
it's
marry.
different when when romance is involved. So I think the casual nature of my parents' relationship kind of made me too laid back.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it kind of made me too laid back. And it wasn't nothing against them because I'm thankful that they figured it out and stayed around each other. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Well, okay. Is there anything you wish you knew about yourself sooner?
I'm a leader. I wish I knew that as a kid. My dad always told me that, but I didn't know. I think one thing, so I'm gonna say two things real quick.
Okay.
One, you need to understand your name.
Okay.
Whatever your parents named you, figure it out. What does it mean? Joe is short for Joseph. My name is Joe. It's not Joseph, but that's what it's short for.
Well, why people call you Joey?
Joey's my dad's nickname.
Okay.
Wes is my nickname because I'm the third. So my dad's Joe, my dad's Joey, I'm Wes because there were no Joe names left. So I know that Joe means God will increase, which is why I'm always trying to push. I'm always trying to work because whatever I'm working with, like the video we just saw, I did that with an iPad, an iPhone, and, you know, a little cheap camera. Like God's going to increase that. It's going to look good. So I understand what my name means. The second thing is like, um, my dad, my parents didn't show me what being a leader was. They showed me, but they didn't like kidify it for me. Like, this is
Okay.
what a leader is gonna be. All I
Okay.
knew was like, stay away from them and don't gangbang.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
gonna make me wanna.
And you didn't listen to neither one of
I'm gonna
those.
touch the oven kid. Like, you can't say now my dad will whoop me, but like after a while you just become like a slave. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get this beaten and I'm gonna do what I want. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I wish I understood what being a leader meant, because when you stand up and you just talk and you're confident, that people will follow.
Yeah.
So if you know what you're talking about, more people will follow. Or if they don't follow, you'll get a lot more passes.
Mm-hmm.
And those passes are invaluable in life, you know.
How
with
did
people.
how did you recognize, how did you get to the point where you recognized and you were able to look in the mirror and say, I'm a leader and I know it and now I'm standing in it?
I was tired of the environment. I'm a rapper slash bass player. So my environment is full of a bunch of nonsense.
Okay.
And being tired of it, really I was mentoring kids who were influenced by people who weren't talking about nothing. And it was like, when I thought about it, I look back at my life. When I was a kid, Tupac could have been my dad. The Game could have been my dad. 50 Cent could have, because these are the people whose words I hung on.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, my dad's telling me stuff and he's showing me stuff, but I'm listening to these guys 5-6 hours a day straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not my dads, but these guys are
the ones that's influencing you the most.
Exactly. So I'm looking at these kids and I'm like, bro, you don't have to go through this. And I'm seeing myself, but in like 20 teens, you know what I'm saying? The new version of myself. And it's like, yeah, I got to stand up. I got to stand up.
That's interesting. What clues can you give us to help us navigate relationships with the men in our lives? Very good question.
So this is going to sound kind of cocky. Men love respect. And it doesn't mean be a doormat. Don't be a slave. Don't be walking around like silly and, you know, getting beat on and all. Don't do none of that.
That
you
is
know
a
what I'm saying?
colorful reference for those of y'all
you're
who don't know.
Right. I hadn't even seen that whole movie, but I know she was in there following behind her man getting beat on. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that. But a man wants to feel respect. If you can show, and that's a different language for everybody.
That's what I was about to, that was going to be my
you
follow-up.
You got to figure that out. Mine is like quality time.
Okay.
But I can sit in your quality time and not say nothing and be happy. I'll be playing my little Superman game on my phone, but you're there. And if we're talking, it's cool. If we're not, it's cool. I'm by you. I know you're good. You smell good. You look good. Like that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, learn his whatever language and show him you respect him. And that will wipe out a lot of stuff. And then you'll find out if he's really about you or not. Because if you show him you respect him and stuff is still going, you know, down the drain, then find you somebody else to respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
None of that's permanent unless you're already married, then go pray. Go figure that out. And watch NexLevel, because there's a bunch of content for you.
A bunch of content. How do we balance, how do we as mothers, sisters, friends, create space for men to express their feelings to us more? Very excellent question.
I think there is space.
You think there's already space?
I think there's already space. I think the lack of dads is the cause of that problem.
I will give that to you because I will tell you, as a woman who did not have a dad and was married, I did not necessarily create a safe space for my husband, or at least I don't think that I did, for my husband to express. And I think it had a lot to do with, because I didn't feel safe to express, and so that had a huge effect on us, because I wouldn't have been able to really sit and have an emotional conversation like this.
I love my mother, and I tell you what she did. And my sister Inara is like, I'm the oldest. She's the second, but I call her the oldest because she just acts older than all of us. Like, she's the one. This is what they did. And me and Anar used to hate each other as kids. I'm talking about hate, like real hate. But now as adults, we're the best. Um, you have to again respect. Hey, I'm a pretend you're not a man. I'm a pretend. Hey, listen, if you feel in a certain kind of way, you have the freedom to say that. But understand, you're not finna push me over, or you're not finna become a whiny crybaby. You know what I'm saying? Now, but a dad's supposed to do that. Because if your mama say that, you'll be like, yeah, whatever. All right, till I'm ready to. As a boy, most of the time we respect and love our mamas, but we know that's mama. You know what I'm saying? But like a dad, you're not finna. I express myself however I want, dad. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't do that to our mamas.
Sure would.
But there's already a different level of authority there when there's pops.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Uncle, whatever. But especially in the household. But I would just communicate that space. This is your space.
Okay.
You get to say whatever you need. Watch your language. You get to say whatever you need. And if something slips, okay, this is your space. But if you get to doing this too much, or you get to doing this too long, like we go,
doing our ones and twos and our fingers.
Yeah,
and our
like
heads
come on, bro. Like you're not a child, and because there's not a bunch of dads in our community,
okay,
there's a bunch of kids that are still 30 years old, but they're kids. It's like, bro, you can express yourself without a temper tantrum or going to find the next girl to like you, and now you realize because you've been with her that you really like the girl you left. So now you got multiple problems. Like, come on, bro. Like, because you hurt, just talk. It's easier. But you have to say that. Like, hey, I'm giving you the room to talk. Talk. And I was the quiet kid. I refused to talk as a teenager. If he does that, and my mom would say, hey, well, this is what's going to happen if you keep down that road. I'm going to leave you to it and go. When I got to that road, the first voice I remember was Lori Patton. Because she showed me the space. I was accountable to the space. And if I ignored it, hey,
you got to deal with the consequences.
Lay in your bed.
I love that. Your mom sounds like an amazing, wise woman. We need to talk with her.
Yeah,
we need to talk with her.
The best.
How do you balance creative pursuits and making ends meet in a capitalistic society? Wow, they on you.
I learned what I need to live a day. So I had a really good warehouse supervisor job when I was married. Like my first 40,000+ a year job, like super laid back, chill, all that. COVID happened, I ended up becoming an Uber driver. I ended up making more money actually because I like driving and it was relaxing. I was getting away from all my stuff at home, really, is why I work so much. I'm not even gonna lie. But in that process, I learned what I need to make a day. And then I was like, all right, God, what I gotta do?
Yeah.
Show me what I gotta do. It's like fishing. It's almost like being Peter and them. Like, I know what I need. I know where I could go get it, but I gotta go do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then that gives me the opportunity to create because I shut my day down. Like, my work, I'm done working at 3. I gotta go feed my horse. I gotta go, write a song. I may have to edit a video. Then I wanna be asleep by 10:30. Then I'm up at 5, 6 to do it again. But I know what I need to make. And then, in knowing what I need to make, I just have to trust God with whatever's extra. I think we get so caught up in making the most we can make at a certain time that we forget. Like, your purpose and your vision is the long game. You know what I'm saying? You do what you do and you're great at it. But next level is what you're here for. You know what I'm saying? And what you're here for is not going to feel like work. But you have to put in enough work to get it to that point. Yeah.
Okay, dang it, I want to ask that question, but we have a whole lot more questions here. This is the last question we're going to be able to ask, and there are quite a few questions here that we're going to have to pick back up this conversation and ask and finish. What have you learned from romantic relationships around you presently that have given you a blueprint in your own relationships post-divorce?
Everybody has problems.
True.
Everybody got problems. And the only people that make it are the people that communicate to themselves. You could talk to me. One of my closest friends he's not married, but him and his girl have been together forever. and they got this close to being, not together no more.
Mm-hmm.
And actually both parties came to me separately, just because we're friends. We'll talk, whatever, sounding board. But I'm sending you back to him. I'm sending her back to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, miss me with all that. Like, I love you. Maybe this is what's going on. Go ask him. Everybody's got problems. And the only people that make it are the people that communicate to each other. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So I'm gonna end with this question right here. And I am so sorry that I did not get to all of y'all's questions, which are really, really, really good. But I'm gonna end with this question right here. How did you yourself learn how to create a safe space for you yourself, and then allow other people to come into that space and be safe?
I always had it. I was a toy playing kid. I was like outside. I was an outside kid. Like, you could catch me outside playing football by myself. Like, I was that kid. So my parents protected that. The people who protect me protected that. You know what I'm saying? Then as I got older, it was just that's who I am. So now I'm this creative. It don't matter what I touch. If it's a bass, if it's a China ball light, if it's an iPad, whatever, we're gonna create something with it, because that's who I am. I got my imagination. You know what I'm saying? My parents protected that. I think once I realized that my imagination is purpose driven, like, it fuels what I enjoy, that helps the community, then I just kept it to myself. I kept it to myself. Like, you'll hear songs. I've got 4 albums worth of songs
That you haven't shared.
that I hadn't shared, because they're all gonna drop. They'll drop next year. I promise, all 4. They'll drop next year. But it's like I kept it to myself and I enjoyed it. It's like, for 6 days, God made everything, and He didn't bring us to that last day. He was just chilling. Like, oh, that's nice. Look at that bird. Yeah, look at that tree. Yeah, I did that. That's nice. Then He was like, all right, let's bring some people in here.
People in.
You know what I'm saying?
Wes, I am so grateful to you for sitting down with me. We are definitely doing this again as we tackle the rest of the questions. I want to thank you for being open and honest with us. I want to thank all of our viewers for joining us on tonight, being patient with us. I want to thank you for those of you who are watching on YouTube, Facebook. I want to encourage you to join us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. as we continue to bring you stories and wisdom and knowledge to help you take your life from chaos to balance. We love you and we appreciate you.